Today's session is building a culture of excellence. And although in itself is a large task at hand, what we are going to do over the next number of sessions is to try to enable you to actually build a culture of excellence or take a look at your own organization and maybe identify places where you may be where you are not meeting that culture of excellence uh, message or that culture itself. And so, as a president and chairman of Juran Institute, I enjoy doing these webinars every month. They are free to you. We will send you a copy of them at the end of the session if you stay to the end. How do I know if you stay to the end? I see your names and I see when you fall asleep. I see when you disappear. I see when you click off. So stick around. Um, and let's begin. Oh, a little bit delay there, so I have to go back a little bit slower. Um, we have a series objective here, and that's to build this culture of excellence program out. Um, as each of your organizations, which some of you are from all over the world, or you're all from all over the world in various industries, whether it be pharmaceuticals, insurance, manufacturing, finance, foods industry, you're all from scattered industries. You're all trying to be excellent at something. And if you've been around a while, like I have, matter of fact, it's going to be the 40th anniversary of the Institute this year. I've been here 31 years. And over that period of time, uh, organizations have been pursuing excellence. The difference today is what that might mean in terms of its outcomes, and what does it mean in terms of how to get there, or what does it take to get there. So in this series, we're going to try to answer a lot of questions for you. In today's series, we're just going to try to answer the question, what is a culture of excellence and why is it worth pursuing? Now, if you signed on today and you'd like to sign on for the entire program, please don't forget to do so. We will be breaking down the culture of excellence into 7 sessions. And so today's session, which is building a culture of excellence, followed by benefits and results, the model, the framework, the foundation, the enablers, and the roadmap. Each of them will give you a picture into how you can set up and deploy or improve on the deployment you have, or just learn about what culture of excellence is all about today. You can sign up online, and if you have any trouble with that, you can contact Matt Muller at Juran Institute. He can fix you up. Unfortunately, this is a one-way dialogue, and so I do my best to try to monitor the questions and monitor the chat room. So if you have anything to say, please feel free to say it, and I will try to monitor it. So what's a culture? Well, a culture is an organization. Culture is a society, and organizations are a society. And so within a society, we tend to develop relationships. We have common purposes. We create our own uniqueness, our values, our habits, and our beliefs. And a business culture is one where we all work together within the organization. We create our own kind of society. It has our own unique values, habits, and beliefs. And even within the company, our own functions can create its own culture. So when we talk about what is a culture, it is who we are, how we act, what we do every day, our behaviors. And so if we want to improve that culture because maybe our habits and beliefs aren't generating our values, or the current habits and beliefs have been outdated and therefore we need to change and move forward, or the marketplace is changing so much around us that we have to change our habits and beliefs. In any case, uh, Aristotle's comment here is not unfamiliar to all of us, but what are we repeatedly do? I'm sorry, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And so today we might think we are excellent or we have been excellent, But the definition of excellence keeps moving. So we have to keep improving our cultures to move beyond where we are today. So what is a culture of excellence? Well, it's not just an excellent company. A culture of excellence actually has a meaning to it. It's an enterprise, an organization, where the model, the business model they use, the principles they teach, the methods they employ, the tools they use, enable all employees to drive excellence for the customer in everything we do, while enabling our business results. In other words, the habits and beliefs that we are being presented over many years can create an excellent company. But a truly excellent company is one that is focused on both satisfying the customer and satisfying the business. And there are some benefits to do that. And when you do that, let's think about this culture of excellence. And you might be in an organization which is a great company. Well, let's ask the question, are you considered a culture of excellence? The first thing you want to ask yourself is, do your customers, whether your customers are paying customers, or if they are patients in a hospital, or if they're end users, who are your customers of your business, and are they getting a great experience? And a great experience means from the time they get onboarded with you to the time they use their product and after use. If you're a patient going into a hospital, the patient experience might begin with your doctor recommending you for treatment and scheduling your appointments and going to the hospital the day of the treatment and what happens within that day. How well is that whole experience happening? It's not just enough to say I was satisfied or dissatisfied or try to improve customer satisfaction and dissatisfaction, but it's to try to understand that whole experience and make sure that we can provide a positive experience every time our patient or customer, in this case, experiences our product or services. You can't do that unless you have satisfied and engaged employees. Every organization thinks they have happy employees. Every organization thinks they're engaging their employees. But in an excellent organization or in a culture of excellence, you can't reach great customer experience without happy and engaged employees. But how we get them engaged and when we get them engaged are very important. Your organization can't be considered a culture of excellence unless you have some benefit to society. It's not just about making money. It's not just about shareholder value. It's also about getting that and being good, providing value beyond the borders of your business model. In other words, by helping that patient in the hospital have a great experience, by providing a great working environment for our nurses and doctors and clinicians, that's enabling that society to have a better culture on its own, because we're all performing at these new levels, these high levels, these great levels of excellence. No organization is going to survive without great financials, whether you're a for-profit company or a non-for-profit, whether you're an agency getting a budget or not. So you need some repeatable financials, meaning we continuously improve our performance by being more efficient, so we get more profit or therefore spend less money. And we also can keep generating sales to keep the livelihood of the business going. The repeatable financials are always a target of a business. And they're not going away because you're going to focus on quality or performance or efficiency. What they are is they're a balance, that our financials are the result of great experiences between our customers, our employees, our products, our services, etc. Now, we can't get repeatable financials if we don't have really good processes. And many people don't like the word processes because they've all been processes to death. But the reality is the work we do and the tasks we complete are all contained in our work processes, and they have to be reliable, meaning they produce the outcomes over and over again, whether there's a new employee or an experienced employee. And they have to be agile, meaning the world changes, we have to change with them. So when we talk about engagement of employees, we really want to engage them in how do we create reliable, repeatable, agile processes? How can we keep that going year after year? Because those agile and reliable processes create our products and services. Whether it's a design process to create a new product, or a production process that delivers the product, or a field service organization that goes out and fixes the product, or the nurse in the hospital who provides great service to the patient. Those products and services are what drives that customer experience. And if you think of these 6 areas of culture of excellence as outcomes, you could ask yourself, in my company, how are we doing on each one? More than likely, you'll find that you go to great extents to improve customer experience. You go to amazing extents to get repeatable financials. Some of you choose to be good society, some may not. Some of you choose to be a great place to work, some may not. But unless you get good at each one of these, you are truly not going to be excellent. Now, there are many ways to become excellent. Some of your organizations may be involved in the American National Quality Award, the Baldrige Award, or your local country award. And what those awards were intended to do is to give you a framework to work in. And so let's first talk about what that framework should include. Well, if we look at every organization, it kind of looks like this, that on the far right, we are trying to create loyal customers. We create loyal customers with business results, products, services that work, financials that are great. We create those results through business processes and our value streams. And there are many of them in the organization, some more critical than others. And we have enablers and influencers on those. So the quality management system would be an enabler. An influencer would be our recruiting and possibly recruitment and retention and talent management. We also have business plans that help us give us direction. And those business plans are generated from assessments of the markets, the competitors, as well as customers. And so when we talk about enterprise, if you want to be an excellence culture, you've got to think of the whole thing. And so many excellence programs, whether your company is engaged in the Shingo, the Toyota, the Baldrige, or your own version, enterprise focus is the need and the way to go. And if you're not doing things that affect the whole enterprise, over time, you should start thinking about that. And what do we mean about total organization? Well, first of all, we have the pyramid, which is, folks from top down, leadership, middle management, and everyone else. And so what we want to do over time is create agile and efficient processes. We want to have great products coming out of our innovation. We want to have happy employees. We want to have satisfied patients and customers. We want to have great experiences. All that happens there. But it doesn't happen unless we truly understand both our suppliers and our customers. So when we also think about an enterprise focus, we have to think about it from the customer perspective. Our customers may not know where our suppliers come from. They may not know that we're working with 5 technology companies to deliver the information they get. It's coming from our organization. But we have to treat our suppliers as if they are part of our organization. So true enterprise focus extends beyond the suppliers, even into their suppliers, and sometimes beyond our customers and into their customers. And although you're not going to change a culture overnight, you'll notice this over time bar I'm always showing. The purpose of that is to make sure you know that we do these things little by little, more and more each year, and we get there over time. You go at the pace that you want to go at. Unfortunately, some want to go too fast, they don't get where they want to go. Others go too slow and they abandon it. And so I don't have a great answer for you as to what is the right pace, but I think you know it when you see it. The heart of a culture of excellence and the heart of understanding that supplier customer chain is understanding that we all, as an organization, process things. We process information, we process raw material, and we turn it into products that are delivered to a customer. Those products could be paper, they could be goods, they could be services, it could be a cleaning service we do at your home, it could be an automobile, it could be anything. And in order to do that, we have suppliers. And if you keep thinking about the company as a processor, and then we look at my department as a processor and me as a processor, the supplier processor customer chain keeps getting bigger and bigger. To be truly excellent, we have to have a true understanding of how end-to-end processes work. We have to be able to look way down the line to see how the customer is getting the service or the product, and look way back in the line to see how the incoming stuff looks and is. So good culture of excellence is based on really good systems thinking and end-to-end processes. You'll notice that you can't have efficiency unless you have steps in a process that work, and minimize them and do them quickly and do them repeatedly. The more steps you have, the slower things are. The more steps you have, the greater chance of error. So understanding end-to-end process is important. Now, why do end-to-end processes go bad? Or why are they inefficient? Well, a lot of times we don't really understand the needs of our customers, and our suppliers don't always understand our needs. And so you have to constantly create devices to connect both our customer needs to us, our needs to our suppliers' needs to us, and so on. So what we're trying to do to create agile and repeatable processes which deliver our products and services is to make sure we truly understand how our processes work. We can scope them, bound them, understand them, and measure them. And in doing so, we'll be able to drive out inefficiency and become more effective. So if that's what a culture of excellence is, how do we begin to get there? And I'm going to briefly describe each of these as we go through the next few slides. I also want to remind you, if you have any questions, please throw them at me. I would be happy to answer them for you. So first, I'm going to bet you, if I could see a show of hands, how many of your organizations have some model, that is some picture that says, this is how we operate. And if you are trying to develop a culture of excellence model, it tends to have something like this: some guiding principles, clearly an understanding of that we're focusing on the customer, that we need some infrastructure ecosystem methods, we need some processors and enablers, and we need leadership and workforce engagement. It's a way to start to describe what a culture of excellence is. And if I were to explain more about the Juran model, for instance, the universal principles that we live by are that there are relative few problems that need to be tackled, and if you tackle them, you're going to get a big result. The Pareto principle, which Dr. Juran defined. We also believe that structured habits of improvement are required. Call them projects. We believe in improvement projects as well as design projects. So in other words, we have these universal principles that help us guide our journey. We also know that you can't be excellent at just yourselves. You got to look outwards. So you have to have the customer in mind. And so if you have a model, apply a test to it. Is it outwardly focused? Does it have some boundaries to it? Does it have experience providing value? If not, modify it. We also know that a model doesn't work alone. We need some kind of framework, because we can't apply the model to everything at once. Now, if you've seen the Toyota model, the Shingo model, the Deming model, the Smith model, everybody has a model and everybody has a framework. So our framework that we try to monitor and research over many years looks like this, that it's a strategic choice to be the best. It's a strategic choice to be excellent. So if your organization strategy has no mention of customers, patients being the best, it's a pretty good chance you're not going to create a culture of excellence. So we want to see some form of strategy around being good, being great, being the best. That's foundational. Nothing else happens. Because if the strategic choice is there, that means you've got leadership already on the right step. Second part of that foundation is making sure that you have the right ecosystem, which is your infrastructure, the methods you choose, tools and metrics you use. For instance, the more excellent your organization is, the less metrics you have, the less, because it becomes simpler. In fact, we could see a direct proportion to organizations with no supportive infrastructure has a lot of activity, not a lot of results. Those organizations that pick one tool or one method and think that it's right for them and it's going to do everything soon run out of speed. So there is a clear foundation to being strategically choosing to be the best and then create the ecosystem to help get there. Now, what do you aim that foundation at? Well, clearly the foundation has to go after things that matter. So for instance, we want to make sure that we enable innovation and design of products, services, and processes. A lot of innovation to create new products is norm to your company, but also innovation to create efficiency. We also want breakthrough improvement and continuous improvement. And the methods to improve differ from the methods to design. And once we improve or create or design, we need to maintain. So we need an enterprise quality management system. Many organizations just call it our enterprise business management system. We're using the word quality here because if you create a new design or a new product, you maintain the quality. If you create a new process, you maintain the quality. Equally important as an enabler are the employees, all of us, that we want employee engagement and we need them to have the right skills before they can become engaged and accountable. So many organizations want accountable workforces, accountable people, but not giving them the skills they need to do it. So if we can build the foundation and then aim it at these enablers, what we're going to see over time are results. Products that are more competitive, which drive our sales, processes and the data that goes with it more efficient, which should keep our costs down, coupled with great customer experience, which enables those customers to come back. You are starting to create that organization that is really driving shareholder value with sustainable results. Now, each of you, I'm sure, have some kind of house of quality or house of excellence. What we've tried to distill here and what we're trying to help organizations understand is that you don't have to be doing a lot of things, you just have to be doing the right things, and you have to be able to communicate it well to everyone in the organization so they understand why. And I'm going to get to the why after, but one of the important things about having a clear picture here, it makes it easy to argue, it makes it easy to debate, it makes it easy to teach. In the absence of this picture, it's very hard to tell people why we are doing lean or why we're doing Six Sigma. And so you should start at the bottom and say, hey, we're trying to be the best. So if we want to have the best efficient processes, we need to have some real improvement process in place to drive efficiency. If we want to have superior products and services, we need to have some good design method. And by the way, even if we do great at design and great at improvement, we have to have a management system that monitors our performance. So whether you use the words foundation, enablers, or results, or whether you have 4 lines or 3 lines, what's important is that you define in your business what are those key things that you need to focus on that's going to get you the results. And there's plenty of lessons learned as to how to do this better, faster, cheaper. Now, there is one question that I'd like to share with you. Jane says, and I'm just using a fake name, Jane. The word enterprise in quality management system sometimes means enterprise software or enterprise in terms of scope, which is it? Well, what's interesting today is that enterprise quality management is starting to mean enterprise quality management software system. The term I'm using here is the complete picture of the company, meaning end-to-end quality management system. However, in the new Industry 4.0 and Digital 4.0, many of these enablers are becoming more and more technology driven. So eventually, your enterprise quality management system may be a technology driven system. Once you have a framework, then you're basically going to build that framework out. Now, in the subsequent sessions that we're going to have, we're going to talk about each of these, the foundation, what's inside the infrastructure, what makes it work, what are some of the methods, tools, and metrics, what do the enablers mean, how do you get there, and clearly the results. And we're going to start the next session with results, because if you are trying to move from the culture you have, it's always helpful to have some ammunition behind you to convince others to move to. If you are the leadership of the company, you want to make sure there are clear benefits to the shareholder or the financial side. If you're an operations person, you want to see the benefits to ops. And if you're the HR talent people and managers, you want to make sure there are great things for the employees. So we will get to all that detail in subsequent sessions. The last piece of our message is that you don't build this house, you don't build the framework haphazardly, and you don't build it all at once. And you have to think of like building a house. I decide I want to build a house on that piece of land. That's a strategic choice. And the house that I build has a plan. And we build it by first digging the hole, pouring in the concrete, building the foundation, and we work our way up. And so as we lay our foundation and put down our floor, we then can build room after room. So we can work on one room called design, and one room called improvement, and one room called quality management system. But we can't expect results until those rooms are complete, and then we can hold the next roof, and so on and so on. So every organization moves through phases. A number of years ago, we defined the phases that organizations use to transform a culture. It's similar phases we use to help deploy a strategy. That at first, an organization decides what to do and why. So they build their foundation, and they begin to prepare the organization for that foundation. And then they launch activity aimed at improving design of products and services, efficiency of process, control systems in place, engagement of employees. And as they get good at that, they expand and expand until they start to see the results, and this keeps feeding on itself. In the absence of a roadmap, you can't get there very quickly and efficiently. So it's just a guide for you. So if you have a guiding principles, you have a framework, and you have a roadmap, those are the three key elements to being able to communicate, educate, plan, and keep your system moving forward. Now, you may not like the choice of words here. You may think that it only needs 4 steps. Great. What we find is that every organization has to go through a phase to get to the next phase. So for instance, we might be doing green belt projects because someone thought it was a great idea, but all of a sudden they're struggling now to get the implementation of the solution. It almost always leads back to something missing in the preparation step, where we didn't include leaders in what those projects were, and they weren't as important as we thought they were, and therefore the leadership is competing against you. And so they have more clout, so they win out. We also might find that the projects that you're working on to improve a design of a product are no longer in vogue in the decision process that leadership had. So everything has a cause and effect to each other. The roadmap just helps us guide us through the journey. But if you don't build your foundation, your enablers are going to be weak, your walls are going to be weak, and your results are going to be suspect. What we're trying to do is build this house over time. One more check of questions. Okay. By the way, I appreciate everyone hanging in there. You're awake. Love to see you raise your hands if stretch out there a little bit because we're going into the last slide. Or two. So why is culture of excellence worth pursuing? This was a great article, and I found very little doubt in my own experience, which I'm getting up there, that Michael Mankin's article is right on the money, although I could have a list of 20 items or 2 items, depending on if you're a lumper or splitter. But if I were to say, what is a culture of excellence and why is it worth pursuing? One is because when you on the journey to get there, you end up with high integrity in all interactions with people, customers, suppliers, employees, stakeholders. If I were to say a best way to describe that is you move from a level of secrecy to a level of transparency. And the level of transparency becomes collaborative in nature, where we all start collaborating with each other for the good of all of us, not just one of us. You become very performance focused. You want to win. And so there's recognition, reward, development. There's a lot of talent management that happens. In other words, really simply, someone asks, well, why do we need to teach people how to do problem solving? Why do we need to teach people this? Well, one is we're improving your skills. And if you improve your skills, you get a better chance to improve your performance. And if you do that, you get a better chance of getting recognized and moving up the chain. So from an individual, it's important to be performance focused. And as a business, it's important. Everybody wants accountability. All leaders want accountability. But it's better to be accountable when you know what you're accountable for. So clear roles, responsibilities, and authority all reinforce ownership of my work, our work, and the results. Symptoms of failure show up in everyone's department, but the causes of that come from other places. In a culture of excellence, we stop looking at blaming where the symptom shows up. We try to find where the cause is. So accountability becomes very important and gets much better over time. No one person has all the answers. No one person has all the ideas. So we must build collaborative environments, and this happens. It happens because we are giving people honest feedback. We're giving them opportunities to engage. We're giving them tools to improve. And therefore, we start to be more collaborative between ourselves, our departments, our teams, and we be able to start seeing each other's points of view. And we create new ideas from that. If you study design and innovation, most creativity comes after collaboration. It's rare that we get creative before we collaborate. So if we can create collaborative environments by getting people engaged, we have a much greater chance of getting better ideas. That said, we don't want to be stuck on our laurels. So we must be able to be adaptive. And one of the outcomes of a culture of excellence, become very agile and adaptive. If we've got simpler processes, simpler methods, simpler everything, then we should be able to turn on a dime when things change, and things change very fast. As you get better and better, innovation becomes the norm. Why? Because we have more time to spend on innovation than we do on controlling failures and defects. So we're able to push to new ways of thinking. And one of the greatest things about worth pursuing culture of excellence is the attitude about winning. We start to believe we can win at anything because we've demonstrated success at winning. You may have your own to add to this. You may disagree with some. I reference you to the article, which is still, I think, one of the better ones about being great. But if your organization wants to be more successful, you're not going to get there just because you do lean. You're not going to get there just because you do operational excellence. You're going to do there because you have an enterprise-wide strategic choice to be great. and it is worth pursuing, and we're going to share more of that and the financial benefits of that in the next session. I would like to draw your attention to a few things here. One is that if you'd like a certificate of completion, if you go through all 7 of these workshops, and you'd like to have some evidence that you did that, we'd be happy to provide you with a certificate of completion. All you got to do is contact me. And by the way, you can't contact me at the end. You got to contact me as soon as you can, because there are a few other things we're going to ask you to do along the way. Very simple. If your organization is looking to get up to speed on some Six Sigma training, we've got a few rounds of training coming up. Still register for those. If you've not heard of Impro, you can click on the Impro link here and you can check it out. Impro is a great place to get all your online learning and coaching and knowledge base. And lastly, if you'd like guys like me, I'd be happy to come out and help you. Our advisory services are been around a long time, so we'd love to help you out. With that, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you again in the very, very distant future here coming up next month. So thank you and have a great, great day.